Welcome back to the Counterfeit Emotions podcast. Thank you so much for going on the journey to explore your emotions, to live an authentic life, and find the one emotion that can't be counterfeited, and that's peace. This week, I have a dear, dear friend, Jill Schulman, on with us today. And Jill is amazing. Not only is she just an incredible human, but she has written the book called The Bravery Effect. And this is a phenomenal book. If you haven't ordered it, I suggest you go right now on Amazon, get it. It's a number one bestseller on Amazon. Grab the book because it is a phenomenal story of bravery and how to tap into that bravery. And so, Jill, thank you so much for being on the show.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And it's so fun because the way we met, I think it was Providence. I'm giving it not to coincidence. I'm giving it to Providence.
I think so. Yeah. So we were at a conference, National Speakers Association, and we both were invited to this dinner, and we sat next to each other, and we just got into a deep conversation, like right off the bat.
Yeah.
You were telling me about counterfeit emotions. I think we really connected over talking about Stoic philosophy as well.
Yes.
And after that, I'm like, I love this guy. He's got to be my friend.
The Stoics. It's so good to bond over the Stoics.
Yes. You're like, who's your favorite Stoic? Who's my favorite Stoic? And the rest of the table is like, oh, look at these nerds over here.
Talking about Marcus Aurelius and Seneca. Yeah, so fun. And congratulations. This is huge. This is such a great accomplishment.
It's great.
Such a wonderful book. I love that this is out now. So that people can understand more about bravery.
Yeah.
So tell me, why did you write the book? Tell us about that journey.
I mean, I wrote the book because I have noticed in my daughters, in the workplace, the clients that I work with, even for myself, that many times fear silently holds us back and keeps us from doing what we really want. And it holds us back from living our best life. And what is the antidote to fear? Like, how do we overcome fear? And that's bravery. So it was really when I went back to school and I was studying positive psychology, which is the scientific study of elevating happiness and well-being. That's where the light bulb moment went off, because I'm studying the science of happiness from the brightest minds in the world at the University of Pennsylvania. And when I really tapped into like what holds people back, it's fear. Fear keeps people small. It keeps them limited from really achieving their potential and living the life that they want. So once I kind of discovered that, I did all of my research on overcoming fear and accomplishing your deep, meaningful, self-concordant goals. And once I did my research at Penn, my capstone on that, then it just took off from there.
And I love this because if you look at the difference between authentic emotions and counterfeit emotions, every authentic emotion has two base emotions. I call them meta emotions, and that's love and surrender. Every counterfeit emotion has two base emotions, fear and control.
Ooh.
And so, like, I love that this is where you focus because fear runs through every counterfeit emotion and creates that disconnection, those cycles of disconnection. And it's all about fear.
Yeah, it is. And fear sometimes it's invisible. It's silent. We don't even know.
Tell me more about that. I'm excited.
First of all, it's invisible because you might see someone who's this Navy SEAL, like bravest man in the world, but it's what he fears is invisible. There might be things he fears, like being vulnerable, or maybe going into a different line of work that he really wants, but doesn't know that he can do because he doesn't know, he has some self-doubt. So a lot of times I say fear is invisible because fear is it's unique to each person. What you're scared of is completely different than what I'm scared of. So every single person is different. And so this is where, bravery is not about just running into burning buildings and a Marine running into battle. I mean, those are brave, heroic moments. Don't get me wrong, and we honor that. But bravery happens in all the little moments. The little moments where you want to have the difficult conversation with maybe a loved one or someone at work, but you're a little bit scared because you don't know how it's going to go, so you decide not to. Or maybe your job is okay, like your career's okay and you make a good living, but it's not really what you feel called to do, and you want to make the shift, but you're scared of making the shift. And there's so many examples I could go on, but that's where fear is. It's invisible and it's unique to because you don't know when you look at someone outwardly, you don't know really what they're scared of.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's so true.
Mm-hmm.
And in the dyads or the pairs of emotions,
Mm-hmm.
bravery is the authentic and bravado is its
Oh.
counterfeit.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
And that's why I was so curious when you said it's
Mm,
silent, because
mm,
oftentimes people see what appears to be these really powerful, assertive, even
mm,
controlling, and they're like, oh, they're not afraid of anything.
mm,
But
mm-hmm.
the truth is, we all have fear.
We all have fears.
We all have them. And distinguishing between bravery
And bravado.
and bravado
Mm,
is so important.
yeah.
That's why I loved when you
Yeah. Well,
said,
let me tag on to that a little bit more because, if we look at the definition of bravery, I mean, the academic definition, and I cite Dr. Cynthia Puri from Clemson University. She's one of the leading bravery researchers. She defines it as voluntary action in the presence of fear toward a noble or meaningful goal, right?
hmm,
So,
say that one more time.
yeah,
Say
let's
that
kind of break it
one more
down.
time.
So, it's voluntary action
Okay.
in the presence of fear. So, bravery is not fearless. If you don't feel fear, you're not brave.
Hmm.
So, it is everyone discovering what is it that what fear holds me back and taking voluntary action in the presence of fear toward a noble or meaningful goal. And that's where that noble, meaningful goal for me separates the bravado from the true bravery. I think some people set goals like, I want to be rich. I want to be famous. I want to be powerful. Those are not noble goals.
Yeah.
When we chase after the wrong thing, and then it ends up being bravado. Like I'm just doing it to look cool or to
Yeah.
seem like I'm something. Like they have to be self-concordant goals, like goals that are deeply meaningful and noble goals. So we got to make sure that we have the right target that we're using our bravery for. And that keeps us on the bravery side and not the bravado side, or I sometimes just call it stupid bravery.
That hubris,
Yeah.
that bravado that really doesn't have that goal. So how do you distinguish if I love this conversation because I love digging deep into these concepts. How do you
Mm-hmm.
distinguish what is that noble goal?
Mm-hmm.
And it brings to mind, so we had Jen Drummond on the show.
Mm-hmm.
She climbed the 7-second summits
Yeah.
on every continent in the world, and she had a LinkedIn post where she had it was a picture of her about to cross a ladder at this ice bridge, where there was a 2,000-foot chasm, like just a massive abyss below her. And she talked about the fear was there every step, but every step it got smaller and it shrunk
Mm.
just a little bit. But
Ah,
the fear was never gone.
right.
It was always there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing about emotions is that it's so important to tap into the emotions because
Mm-hmm.
every emotion is a messenger.
Yes. Oh my God, I love
Every
it.
emotion
Mm-hmm.
is a messenger.
Yeah.
And fear,
Mm-hmm.
in the case of 2,000-foot abyss or chasm, that's a really important emotion
Yeah.
to tap into because it's keeping you safe.
Right.
And at the same time, in our normal day-to-day life,
Mm-hmm.
we're not crossing these chasms.
There's no saber-toothed tigers coming after us, and we're
Yeah.
not on the edge. We're not trying to climb Mount Everest, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think as you ask the question, like what makes a goal noble or not, the first thing that comes to mind is when you really set that goal, that meaningful, noble goal, it should be in service to others and the impact that you want to make in the world. It shouldn't be self-serving.
Mm.
It should be what is the impact I want to make in the world for others. So that's one of the first differentiators. If it's just self-serving, that's we need to adjust and go, well, why do you want that? So we have to make sure that it's other focused first, so in the service of others. And then the other thing that you mentioned is as we feel fear, there are some fears that keep us safe. And so I want people to be able to differentiate when they feel fear, like, is this a fear I should listen to? Because when we feel fear, based on evolutionary psychology, like we do naturally want to run away from what we fear. So sometimes we want to listen to it. Maybe I'm in a city, in a strange city for work, and my habit is after I do dinner somewhere, I like to walk back to the hotel, even if it's a couple of miles, because I just like to get my walk in. But if it's a really dangerous city and I see a shortcut through a dark alley, maybe that fear I should listen to. Even though I'm the tough Marine, I'm like, sometimes I should just listen to the fear. So sometimes we should listen to fear. But most of the time, the fear that we are experiencing is more social fear, the fear of failure, the fear of rejection,
Imposter syndrome,
all of that.
Yeah.
And so when we experience those fears, those are signs that there's something important and we should move toward it. So sometimes we should run away from fears if they're keeping us safe, genuinely. But most of the fears we experience, I want people to reframe those as this is a sign. It's something important. And I should be running toward that thing that I fear because it matters.
Mm-hmm. That's such a good visual. And it brings to mind the analogy of the cows and the buffaloes.
Oh, I was just thinking that. I was actually,
Were you?
Yes, go for it. I love it.
The idea that a cow, when it sees the storm, will run from the storm and the storm will overtake them and they'll be in the storm longer. Whereas the buffalo is one of the few animals that will run into the storm. And so when do you know the difference? When do you know the difference of when it's important to run into the storm versus to recognize, hey, that dark alley, that is not time for bravery. That's time for intelligence. That's time for...
I think people can differentiate, like, what is on the other side of the fear? Is it that noble, worthwhile goal? That meaningful goal? Like for me, I can tell you one of the fears I had, believe it or not, is speaking on big stages, believe it or not. I don't have the fear anymore.
So we met at the National Speakers Association and one of your fears is speaking on stages.
Not anymore, but it was more of a, like, I've always been comfortable speaking in front of people, but for me it was more of, I have this really amazing business and I do really meaningful work for my clients. And I do that work. It's leadership development workshops. And I usually do it 18 to 24 people at a time because that's the best number based on evidence where people are going to have the breakthroughs to become the best leader and go back. So that was the work that I was doing. Now, sometimes you have to not let good get in the way of great. So my fear was I've got this business that I love. It's meaningful work. It's very successful. And I think that's where sometimes people, they live a good life, but I want to help people use bravery to live an extraordinary life. So what my fear was, do I stop doing this really consistent good work that is paying the bills? I mean, on the outside, people would be like, Jill's really successful. She's this leadership development consultant. She's got this thriving business.
She's a Marine.
She's a Marine.
All this amazing
She's got it
stuff.
all. But I wanted to, ever since when I first got out of the Marine Corps and I was in my first corporate job, it was a pharmaceutical company, Abbott Labs at the time. I was at my first national my first national sales meeting.
Okay. Thousands
of people, and they brought in this great motivational speaker. And I sat back and listened, and his name was Keith Harrell. He's kind of a legend at NSA. And his message was, and his book said, attitude is everything. But he had stories and entertaining, and it stuck with me. Like he taught me, like, anytime someone asks you how you're doing, just don't say good, say super fantastic, decide your attitude. So he had this amazing keynote. It really stuck with me. I chased him down afterwards. Like, he's going out and I'm like 27, I'm chasing him down. He's like this 6'4" tall black man, this little blonde, chasing him down. But I spoke to him for 10 minutes. He was so generous and said, like, if you want to do that, I said, I want to do what you're doing someday. That was 25 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So that's where I'm saying, like I've always been comfortable speaking in front of groups, but I was scared to carve a new path toward greatness, right? And I think that's where a lot of people have a good life. They've got a good marriage or an okay marriage. They've got a job that's okay. It's not bad, right? And they just stay stuck in just what's okay. And I think we need bravery to be able to create a life of extraordinary. So for me, I had to stop doing as much work with my existing clients to find time to write the book. And even writing the book, like, can I write a book? So
Mm.
even for me, I had to look at what are my fears. You would think on the outside, this is why I say bravery is invisible. On the outside, like, I've got this
Oh,
business, I'm
yeah.
a former Marine, I do all this fitness stuff. Like, Jill's not afraid of anything. I was afraid of going after what I really wanted.
Mm.
So I'm living what I learned and what I wrote about in the book, and it works. Mhm.
And you just conquered a major fear of jumping out of an airplane.
Yes.
So, yes, I want to go back to what you said
Uh,
about, but yeah, tell us about the airplane experience.
well, in order to celebrate the bravery effect, I mean, it really is. I teach people how they can identify what they really want and how they can conquer the fears in the way. And so if I'm going to practice what I preach and be the expert in bravery,
Hmm.
I had to think about what's the one thing I said I would never do because I'm too scared to do it. And it
Yeah.
was skydiving. So on launch day, which was last Tuesday, I I planned to jump out of a plane, and just to make sure that I did it, like, I was on some of the local news in Southern California saying I was going to do it. I told all my friends and family. Like, I mean, that way there's no and it
You're
was and it was terrifying. And I want to link this to what Jen Drummond was saying about, each step. So of course, it's terrifying jumping out of an airplane, but leading up to it, I was excited. So sometimes our emotion of stress or anxiety is the same emotion of excitement. So I was really leaning into the reframe, and I was excited as I
yeah.
was driving down, meeting some friends that were all doing it with me, getting geared up, even getting in the plane, going up. But then there was a moment when we're almost to the top and they open up the door. That's when it hit me. And I'm like, I can do as much cognitive reframing as I want, but I was terrified. And all these cameras are on me. And I remember him just saying, he asked me to, he's like, do you want to go first? And I'm like, yes, because I don't want to think about it more. He's like, do you want to do a flip going out of it? And
Oh,
I'm
heck
thinking,
yeah.
and I'm like thinking for a second, he's like, you want to do it? I'm like, yes, let's do it. But then he opened the door and we inched over there and he said, just put your head back and relax. It was a tandem. And I just put my head back, relaxed, and I had this kind of like plastered smile on my face. Behind it, it was pure terror. And they do like one, two, and then they don't wait till three. And we just leaped and did the flip. And the first 2 seconds were absolutely terrifying because first of all, you're spinning and just and then as soon as the 2 seconds were over and you feel the resistance, it was absolute serenity
Mhm.
and peace up there. And it was exhilarating and wonderful and the best. And so when I got down to the bottom, and then I'm cheering all my friends coming down, I realized I'm like, okay, that was still scary, but now it's not as scary. And this is where, when it comes to bravery, when you're scared, you have to do it anyway. And when you take the step, right? So now that I've jumped out of an airplane, I'm like, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. That was kind of cool. Like, I actually want to do it again. And imagine if I did it 10 times, then the fear would go away. So that's one of the things that sometimes people think about bravery is they're waiting until they feel ready and they feel confident and that the fear goes away. But that's not the way bravery works. To build it, you have to do it scared.
Yeah.
And once you do it once scared, you're like, okay, now if you do it again scared, like it's like Jen Drummond was saying, is like each step, the fear got a little less. And that actually is consistent also with um, some of the research that's been done on self-efficacy. Albert Bandura, who,
Yeah.
his work. I mean, what he discovered is we can do as much mindset cognitive reframe as possible, but you don't build that confidence, that self-efficacy until you take steps. So he had that famous study with snakes, right?
Mhm.
He was trying to help people overcome a fear of snakes. And he didn't give them pep talks, he gave them steps. And the first step was like, look at a picture of snakes. Ugh. Like, it was, every step was uncomfortable, required a little bit of bravery. And then they watched a video of snakes, and then they brought snakes in to the far side of the room. And then they
Yeah.
brought him closer, and then he had him out, and eventually they handled him. So to build bravery, you just need to keep taking those little steps. Just like Jen Drummond said, keep taking steps toward it. And then your confidence emerges because then you convince yourself genuinely, like, I can do this. And then you have your shoulders kind of go back, and you're
Yeah.
like, and your pride just beams, and that self-confidence, self-efficacy builds. So that's the way we build bravery, is not waiting until the fear goes away, but taking the steps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so good.
Hmm.
And my brain is going to neuroscience,
Oh. Mm-hmm.
specifically the ACC, or
Mm-hmm.
the anterior mid-cingulate cortex.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on pain, but with this conversation, I'm wondering where fear fits in there because the ACC physically grows every every time you do something that's uncomfortable,
Hmm.
that's outside the comfort zone, it grows,
Hmm.
which is,
Yes.
every
All these
time you take
examples.
a step in fear. I'm wondering if you know the neuroscience of how fear affects the ACC.
So I'll tell you what I know, but you probably know more than I do. And in fact, as I've done research on bravery and gotten the first book done, now there's so much more that I don't know. So I'm just digging into the next level.
Mm,
And that book number 2, I want to really dig into the neuroscience. But I mean, when we feel fear, that's really the amygdala
mm,
that is making
yeah,
us
yeah.
freeze, right? So the way I understand the neuroscience of bravery is we are both using our prefrontal cortex and our ACC build. So it's both of those. And then also all of the functional networks that light up between the ACC and the prefrontal cortex. So when you feel that fear, again, everyone's going to have that reaction like, oh, this is scary. Like, I don't want to have the conversation. So I'm just not going to have it. Or there is the edge of a mountain. I'm going to step back. So when we feel the fear, that is our amygdala taking over, trying to keep us safe. But we want to use our prefrontal cortex, which we can all do, to pause, take a couple breaths and say, what is this fear really telling me? Is
Mm,
this fear something I should listen to and retreat from? Or is this a fear that I should move forward or I should run toward? So if you just take a couple breaths and then use the logical part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, to really make the decision, what is the right thing to do for me to be able to achieve those noble, meaningful goals? And a really great trick I use with some of my clients is I just ask yourself, like, what does your future self want you to do in this moment?
ooh, that's such a powerful question.
It's so easy. Like, it could be just like, what does your 5 p.m. as you're leaving work self want you to do in this moment to have this? Should you have the difficult conversation or should you step back? Or even, what does yourself at the end of the week or at the end of the year, what does your future self want you to do in this moment? And usually that future self will guide you to either being brave, doing the right type of bravery and not doing the bravado. So it's a really
Yeah.
good trick. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Hmm.
it's such a good question.
Hmm.
And I love what you said earlier about the similarity between excitement and
Hmm.
fear.
Hmm.
And if you look, that's actually another one of the dyads
Hmm.
is distress is the
Hmm.
counterfeit of eustress,
Hmm.
or anxiety is a counterfeit of excitement.
Hmm.
And excitement and anxiety, they're both aroused emotions. And I've
Hmm.
actually consulted professional musicians, people that get up on stage, to
Hmm.
transition fear into excitement or
Hmm.
anxiety into excitement, because usually you hear, okay, just calm down, and yet you're having this aroused emotion. You're having your heart's beating faster, your blood pressure's up, you're sweating. It's a very aroused emotion.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, just be calm, or bring this emotion down to here.
Don't feel that way. That really helps when
Yeah.
someone says, just don't feel that way.
Yeah. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And so instead,
Hmm.
changing one aroused emotion into another aroused
Yeah.
emotion,
Yeah.
that's so powerful, because in excitement, same thing happens. Your heart beats faster,
Hmm.
your blood pressure goes up, and you can go from fight or flight, which
Yeah.
is the fear, into thrill and skill.
Mm.
And it's amazing because almost every physiological change that happens between anxiety and excitement are almost exactly the same,
Hmm.
except for a couple. One is vasoconstriction.
Right.
And the vasoconstriction, where your blood vessels actually constrict in your
Yeah.
appendages
Uh-huh.
so that it keeps the blood
Yeah.
flow inside. That's what happens in fear. In excitement, the opposite happens.
Vasodilation.
It
Yeah.
all of a sudden gets really big.
Hmm.
Your eyesight changes between fear and excitement. In fear, yep,
Hmm.
tunnel vision. You got this much room, and it's an important
Hmm.
evolutionary reaction. In excitement, it actually expands.
Yeah.
And so your blood is getting your muscles faster. You actually have a
Right.
higher acuity
To
in
perform well.
to perform well. And
Yeah.
that's why I call it thrill and skill versus fight and
Oh,
flight.
I'm going to
And
thrill and skill. Yeah. I love it. You're making me think of some of my favorite researchers are Aaliyah Crum from
okay.
Stanford, if you know her work, or Kelly McGonigal, who
Oh yeah.
wrote the book like Make Stress Your Friend. And I always cite this example of the study that Leah Crum, Sean Aker, and colleagues did because they went into organizations. Because most of my work I do in organizations. I go into companies and I do leadership development. I'm also teaching them how to create brave leaders and a brave workforce because they'll achieve more results, have a bigger impact, but also be happier at work, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but as I do that work, I always share the study because some people think like this is a bunch of psychology stuff, like this is work, and people have fear, people are stressed. What do you do here? So, this study that they did, they went into a really highly stressful workplace. It was specifically UBS, the finance company, right?
Mhm.
High stress when you're in finance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only intervention that they did, Aaliyah Crum and colleagues, was to do a 3-minute video for both the control group and the other group. So, and the 3-minute video for group A was stress is enhancing. Stress and that anxiousness you feel, that is your body preparing you to perform at your best. All the same things that you're saying. This actually increases your cognitive function. It'll make you more creative, more collaborative. Like when you feel that stress, it helps you grow, develop, et cetera. So it's all correct evidence-based data on why stress is good.
Mhm.
The other group was the stress is going to kill you and it's going to make you miserable. And it was a video about how stress is harmful. And again, it was based on a lot of evidence, but is really getting to distress. So this is more about eustress, this is more about distress. But what they were testing is if you can help people just reframe the stress that they're experiencing at work, can it make an impact on their performance, their job satisfaction, and their physiological response? And the answer across the board was yes.
Mhm.
A 3-minute video that they watched, I think like 3 times a week for a couple of weeks. So they watched the video kind of a couple times, over and over again. But by watching that video, they changed their mindset on stress and challenges. And when they followed them, the stress enhancing mindset had stronger performance, statistically significant, higher performance, which is great. They also liked their stressful jobs better when they measured job satisfaction.
Mm.
And then lastly, the really interesting thing is they actually measure different physiological responses, including blood pressure, as you know, because when you feel stress and you think it's bad, you're going to have vasoconstriction, which increases blood pressure. So there was a difference in that. And they even found higher levels of DHEA, a hormone that is linked to resilience, and the stress is enhancing. So these are like very simple things that we can do. And I'm so glad you talk about counterfeit emotions, because I want people when they're feeling stressed or they feel fear, I want them to be able to realize that this fear is a sign.
Yes.
That this is a really good sign of something I could move toward, instead of like, oh, I don't feel comfortable, right?
Yeah.
So reframing is powerful.
Yeah.
Like when you change your mindset, your body believes you, and then you perform better and you're happier.
And you're
It's
happier.
amazing.
It is. And I love that, because when people hear the idea of counterfeit emotions for the first time, they're like, oh, the counterfeits are bad. And they label it bad. And I say there is no such thing as a bad emotion. There's emotions that serve us, and then there's emotions that bring us a message. And that's what the counterfeits do.
Yeah.
The authentics are the ones that serve us. The counterfeits are the ones that bring us a message. And fear is one of those. And I love what you said, because Alison Woods Brooks out of Harvard, she did a seminal study where she had people do 3 things. Public speaking, which is big fear. She had them do singing in front of people, like publicly.
Oh, that's even worse for
sing
me. I would never do it.
with karaoke. And they actually had a pitch tuner that would measure as you're going. It would show you whether or not you had the right pitch.
Yep.
And then the third was math problems.
Yeah.
These actually, I believe they were unsolvable math problems.
Right.
So high stress, right?
Right.
High stress. And she put them into 3 groups. There was the control group that did nothing. And then on either side of the control group, there was one group that said, I'm really stressed about this, or I feel anxious. The other group said, I'm excited. Just 2 words.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Changed.
And we know what fear feels like. We also know what excitement feels like. Physiologically, it's very, very similar.
Yeah.
And when we change it from I'm scared or I'm anxious to I'm excited, it was amazing, because the efficacy rate, like just going.
I've heard this study before. Yeah.
See, you've heard this one.
But tell the audience.
It was, I believe it was 30% for the people that said they were anxious. They were on pitch 30% of the time versus the control group was about 50
Yeah.
versus the excited group, which went up to 80%.
Isn't that crazy?
They went up to 80% with 2 words. I'm excited. That was it.
Yeah. I love this because I just get fascinated. When we talk about emotions and mindset, I think some people start rolling their eyes thinking like, oh, this is a bunch of soft stuff. This is a bunch of like happy clappy stuff. And so I love that we're talking about the research. And I always bring up examples of like Navy SEALs. Like one of the 4 main things that they train Navy SEALs is mindset. So if you think mindset and emotions are soft things, let's think again. These are things that we can shift with intention. We don't have to just experience and be a victim of our emotions. We can reframe them to better serve us, to better serve the team that we lead, to better serve the most important people in your life, like your spouse, your kids. So I just want people to realize that you have an ability to shape your emotional state.
Yeah.
To go from running away from fear to being excited and move toward it, or, any emotional state, right? I'm sure you're familiar with Barbara Fredrickson. She wrote a book on positivity, and she actually lectured to us at Penn, like meeting Taylor Swift. I don't really care, but Barbara Fredrickson, like, wow, like, but what
Barbara
Fredrickson, Stanford, like, wow, but what her research is all about is that you can generate or create positive emotions to best serve you, your career, your life overall. And she teaches you how. Like, so for anyone out there, if you're experiencing any of these emotions that we wouldn't consider positive emotions, you have to be curious because they're telling you something. We want to name the emotion. When we name the emotion, we're curious about it. Then we create some distance between ourselves and the emotion. We are not the emotion. We're just experiencing it. But then you can make a decision. How can I reframe this? Or what is the positive emotion that I want to experience right now?
How do I go from the counterfeit directly to the authentic?
Yes. And we can do that. We have the power. And if you do that, you will accomplish more goals. You'll be more successful. You'll be more liked. You'll be happier. There's so much on it matters so much. So I love going into audience where there's a bunch of macho men that are like
the bravado.
They're
like, tell us.
And I actually call it when I'm doing keynotes. So I do keynotes, around the world.
Yeah.
But I call it a warrior mindset. And I do that just so that people realize like, oh, wow, like this is what warriors do when they feel right. Warrior mindset. And how do you take brave action? Right. And so I do a little reframe of just mindset so that people are open to it. So I don't get the eye rolls.
That's awesome. And walk us through that. Walk us through that reframe.
Yeah. Well, when I go through the warrior mindset, I talk about, first of all, we have to first win the battle in our mind. When we win the battle in our mind, it's going to help us take action, because bravery is defined as voluntary action in the presence of fear toward that meaningful goal. So it's all about action, but our mindset, how we think, impacts our action. So we can't ignore the cognitive side of our behavior. And most organizations don't do anything on the cognitive side.
Yeah.
They just go to like the skill. Well, it's someone's self-belief or their fear that's holding them back. So I go into organizations and say, if you really want the highest levels of performance, we got to do some cognitive work too. So the 4 things that I teach just at a high level. Number 1 is we talk about the growth mindset versus fixed mindset, which is very simple. Teaching someone, if they say, I just could never speak in front of a group, then we would have them reframe that and say, I don't feel confident presenting in front of a group yet. So we just use yet. But then you ask people like, what does that do? Like, what does that change for you? And people realize like, so it's possible. Yes, it's possible. It's not going to be easy. So that's one of the first things, is helping people realize that you can develop whatever skills, you can accomplish whatever you want to. It just is there's going to be a path, and there's going to be a lot of effort and learning that go into it, but it's a choice. And step by step, you'll get there. So we talk about the power of yet. I also do a lot of work on the reframing stress, which I already talked about, Aaliyah Crum, Kelly McGonigal's work, and helping people realize if there's a lot of stress in the world, and there's a lot of stress at work. So going into work thinking that all stress is bad is probably not a good thing for them or their health. So we reframe stress.
Well, and they've proven that. They've proven that it used to be that stress caused heart disease. Like that used to be the common thought. And they've proven that how you view stress
Is what caused it. Yes.
is if you're stressed about the stress, heart disease. If you're
Exactly.
excited about the stress,
Yes.
no heart disease. And actually, it was the opposite.
Mm.
That simple mindset change of saying, you know what, I'm excited about this stress or this hard,
This
whatever it
challenge,
is.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to overcome. Hmm.
They found those people had better hearts,
Yeah.
not just okay hearts or same
They're going to
hearts.
live the longest life.
They had the better hearts. And yet, if you were anxious about the stress, you get heart disease.
Mm.
Like physiologically, your body changes because
Yeah.
of what happens here and what happens here.
So our mindset and stress is so important. And here's this uphill battle that you and I are fighting. So I hope everyone who's listening to your podcast shares this with everyone in their life that is stressed, because they need to hear this. Everything that we see out in social media and what we see like on the news seems to tell the opposite story. Stress is bad. It's going to kill you. So eliminate all stress. So we're teaching people to be soft, to just run away from anything that scares them. If anything's uncomfortable that stresses them out, that don't do that.
Yeah.
And that
Grab the phone and start doom scrolling.
exactly.
Yeah,
And that's just their comfort zone, right? And the harm of that is we're actually making stress worse for them, because stress is not going to go away in life. And now they don't have the right mindset on stress, and now they're not prepared to deal with stress. So they're less resilient. They become weaker, right? So we need to change the conversation that's happening in the news and social media, that stress is not a bad thing. In fact, going after meaningful things, there will be stress on the path to accomplishing it, is one of the ways that you can live your best life. And that's proven in psychology, positive psychology.
Yeah.
So, and people want a great life. They're like, I want a good life. So I don't want any stress. I don't want any challenges. I just want comfort day in, day out, because that's what a happy life is. That is a fast track to depression, anxiety, and an unfulfilled life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm so glad you brought all this up on stress. Like, stress in the pursuit of what we want is wonderful and exhilarating.
So here's a mind-bending concept.
Okay.
Can we actually make fear our friend?
Mm.
Instead of fearing fear or stressing about stress, can we actually be grateful for fear?
Yeah.
Can we actually see fear as a tool to accomplish the things we want to do and have that fulfilling life?
Yeah. I think it's one of those little signals where you feel the fear, you can go, ooh, 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 ooh. Like, what is
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Kind of get excited about it. Like, what is this fear telling me? Is it the type of fear where you're like, I really want to do that, but I'm scared, right? Like, that can be a signpost that you're moving in the right direction. So I think you're onto something, kind of like stress. Like, let's reframe stress, but let's also reframe fear, or at least know how to differentiate. Like, be very curious. When you feel the fear, you need to pause for a moment.
Is there a bear coming at me in the woods?
Is there a bear?
Or is there a stage with people waiting to hear me speak?
Mm-hmm. And another strategy, I learned this from Dr. Cynthia Puri as well. So bravery expert, like world leading bravery expert. So we would be wise to listen to her. You know, she said another way that you can help overcome the fear that's right in front of you to take the action that you want to take is, she goes, you need to elevate the fear down the road of what would happen if you didn't do it. Right? So you think about the long-term consequences. And the example she gave me is, she said, if someone has a fear of flying, but their grandkids live on the other side of the country because they have family all over the country. So I don't want to fly. I'm scared of it. But let's really think about the consequences of allowing fear to control your actions. What are those long-term consequences? I'm not going to have a relationship with my grandkids. I'm not going to be close with my family. I'm not going to be at their graduation, etc. So when you think about the down the road consequences and you kind of amplify that and kind of live in that future misery for a moment, it really helps you gives you the confidence to say, I need to face this fear. So it's another strategy. Like, a lot of times it's the mental time travel that really helps you. What does your future self want you to do? Or what are the consequences to my life in a year from now if I don't go for that promotion that I feel like I'm ready for?
Yeah.
You know, so that really helps. Yeah. So I do think fear is the other thing I want to share based on the evidence is we build bravery like a muscle. You start small and you build it over time. As your ACC starts building and getting larger and creating more of a network to your prefrontal cortex, it's not like you're going to listen to this podcast and now you're just going to
all of a sudden I'm brave.
all of a sudden be brave in all aspects of your life.
Put the superhero symbol on my chest. And
it does build over time. So I always say it's like a muscle. Like if someone wanted to bench 200 pounds, they don't just go in the gym, try to do it and go, it didn't work. See, I'm not brave or I'm not strong. No, you go in and you start small and you lift what you can. And if you're doing it right, it should hurt when you're lifting it.
It will hurt.
And then you should be sore the next day.
Yeah.
And then your body says, I better change my body so I'm more ready for that. So the same thing happens with us. Like bravery is a skill that anyone can build little by little. So you just have to start off with the little things. Maybe it's just speaking up in a meeting with an idea, and you set a goal of raising your hand and speaking at work meetings consistently. That would be like one little step forward to start building it. And then you take the next step, and then you take the next step. And maybe it's going to be 12 steps before you're actually talking in front of a group, but with bravery, as you were talking about, there's like the no stress, there's the eustress and the distress, and there's the proximal zones of learning. We don't want to ever stay too much in the comfort zone, because if you're too comfortable, you're not growing, you're not developing, and that ends up creating a lower level of psychological well-being. So we don't want to stay in comfort. Yeah. And so as you said about fear, like we should always be finding something that makes us a little uncomfortable or that we're a little scared of, and look at that as if I want the best life, I want to keep growing and developing, then I always have to be doing little things that make me uncomfortable. And when you do little things, then you're like, wow, I did that. I'm going to do something a little bigger that I really want. And then you take that next step. And it's amazing. The best part of building bravery is not accomplishing the goal. It's not even accomplishing the goal. We talked about this noble, meaningful goal. It's about who people become on the journey. They believe in themselves. Their perception, they look in the mirror differently with pride. That is the promise. That's the bravery effect. That's why I named it the Bravery Effect. Yes, bravery will make you accomplish your goals faster and make you more successful and probably make you more money. But I don't care about that as much as I care about the psychological well-being of the humans. You want to live your best life and be the happiest? Bravery will get you there.
Have you experienced with someone, or maybe yourself, have you experienced that change?
Yeah. I think
could you share an example of that?
Yeah. Let me take you back back when I was 18 years old, when I started my journey to become a United States Marine. Right. So I was flying
that's a big thing. As an 18-year-old female?
Yes.
That's a huge thing.
It was a huge thing. So I was brave just to sign up, but now I have to be open. I wanted to become a United States Marine. And I also wanted a full scholarship, and I wanted to experience some of the world. I grew up in little small town Minnesota. So I applied for the scholarship. So I had this ability to go to school anywhere I wanted to the United States. And then you have that job right afterwards to become a Marine. And my grandfather was a Marine. So I wanted to do this. So one thing is just applying for the scholarship. But I tell you, I had a safety hatch that I didn't know if I would use. When you get the full scholarship, you basically spend the first year in college. You wear your uniform once a week. There's a little bit of training. But after the first year, you don't actually commit your time to the military until the first day of second year. So I was thinking, like, I can just go do a year. I went to the University of San Diego from Minnesota. Like, am I really going to be able to do it? But when I showed up and I was 18 years old, I thought I was pretty confident and ready for it. But sometimes the challenges in front of you are so much greater. And I didn't expect the fear that I did. As I arrived, a lot of my fellow students that were the Marine option, there's NROTC units, Naval Reserve Officer Training Corps. Like I went to the University of San Diego, and all these people are reporting in, a large class, and all the Navy people went to the left and all the Marine option go to the right.
Okay.
All the women going to the left, all men kind of going to the right. And I realized I don't really look like all these other people.
You were the only woman?
There was two of us.
There were two.
The other one quit.
Oh.
So I was the only woman that was a midshipman, and then most of the Marines that were there were actually there through they were enlisted Marines before, and they were top Marines. So they got a program where they were allowed to go study for 4 years to get their commission to become an officer. So I'm surrounded by all these these are top performing Marines that have now been given an ability to go to college, and then there's some of us that are 18 years old going there, and there's not. And it was intimidating. And that first day, I had someone come up to me and say, "You're never going to make it, believe it or not." And partly is
The
what
first day.
the first day,
Wow.
partly is I didn't make a good decision on what I wore. Like, I didn't want to wear a dress because it was too girly. I didn't want to wear jeans because I did research, and officers don't wear jeans. You can't do that. So I was wearing this, I thought it was the perfect outfit. It was these professional looking long, like silk shorts that were hot pink with white polka dots. With little like low pumps to yeah, you can imagine.
Definitely a Marine outfit.
Yeah, Marine outfit. So I realized. And so for me, showing up there and having that adversity, and I had more fear than I ever thought, because I didn't realize that the people that I was going to be surrounded with were kind of so intimidating, but I had to keep showing up day after day. And that was day one. Day two got worse. Day two got worse because it was our first run as Marines. The topography of Minnesota that I lived in, it was flat.
Mm-hmm.
So I did some preparation for running. Southern California,
Mm-hmm.
hills. So my very first run with my unit, I could not keep up with the runs. I was falling back going up these steep hills. So day two got worse because a really important part of being a Marine is physical fitness. So I was the one falling way back and everyone else was keeping up. I felt like I didn't belong. So I wanted to just say I could quit any moment and go back home. That would have been, in a lot of those moments, we have a choice. Do we step forward, voluntary action, in the presence of fear toward that meaningful goal? That's the bravery step. Or do we, the opposite of bravery would be to, I usually ask the audience so they say it.
Step back.
Step back, which is cowering.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make that choice each day. Do I keep showing up? Do I keep showing up? And it was not, it was a really hard year. It was actually a really hard first 2 years, but I kept showing up. And the fact that I started off with someone who didn't look like a Marine, and I was told I wouldn't make it, and I was falling back on all the runs, I transformed, because by the time I got to officer candidate school, which is between my junior and senior year, I had become very fit. My running was, I was a fast runner. And also, like, because I was horrible on the obstacle courses, like we would go to Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, and do like the obstacle courses. And I couldn't do that for like a year. But once you finally go up enough ropes and go up over enough walls and through obstacle courses, I became good at it, right? So when I came back from my officer candidate school, about to go into my senior year, I actually achieved something I never thought was possible. I was the top Marine out of officer candidate school, out of all the Marines, including those prior enlisted and the other, kids.
Wow.
And the reason I'm telling you the story is not to impress you. It's to impress upon you and the audience that if I could go through that and choose day in and day out to do the hard thing, keep showing up, it was possible. And because my journey was so hard and there was so much stress and adversity, the experience was transformational for me. So it was more meaningful. So sometimes we say in the Marine Corps and the Navy, so we say kind of embrace the suck, or, realize that adversity, every time I chose to keep moving forward, it was me. It was character building, and getting through the other side is so much more meaningful when you have to struggle to get there. So, strength is born in the struggle. So yeah, I found it. I discovered that on my journey to earn the title of United States Marine. And then, every time I've taken a leap to do the next big thing, it's always the same. Like, set the goal that you really want. That's scary. And there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be stress and adversity, and getting through it is the best thing in the world.
I love the saying, there's no growth in the comfort zone, and there's no comfort in the growth zone.
I brought this for you.
Oh, there it is.
And I say, use this as a bookmark in the book. Growth and comfort.
Comfort and growth do not coexist.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. This is exactly it.
Yeah.
And it's bringing to mind the intricacies of pain and fear,
Mm.
and how pain is preceded
Mm.
oftentimes by fear,
Mm.
and even you can do vice versa, but
Yeah.
the intricacies of how those two play together,
Yeah.
fear and pain, because in order to grow you have to overcome both,
Yeah. That's very
and
true.
making both your friends.
Yeah. Hmm.
Instead of saying fear is bad, say fear is exciting, because that means I have an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
And instead of saying pain is bad, saying pain is the tool for growth.
It's a tool for growth.
It
Yeah.
is. And I have a belief that you cannot grow without pain.
Yeah.
And there's people that have challenged that and said, no, you can. But pain comes in all different forms,
Yeah.
including discomfort.
Hmm.
And like you have severe physical pain over here, and then on this side of the spectrum, you have discomfort.
Hmm.
That's where growth
Yeah.
happens.
I
That
agree.
is the tool
Yeah, that's
for
you're right. It's not
growth.
just physical, but it's psychological too. And the other little phrase that is on t-shirts and it's tattooed on the bodies of a lot of Marines is we say pain is weakness leaving the body. And anytime, I think so many times when we have challenges in life, like when there is pain, we just sweep them under the rug because we don't want to deal with them.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to deal with that pain. And it's not pleasurable, but when you get through the pain, getting on the other side of it is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that fulfillment.
The
It's that
fulfillment.
that excitement, that joy
Yeah.
is overcoming that pain.
Yeah.
So how does vulnerability play with fear?
Yeah.
And how do those two play together?
Yeah.
Vulnerability and fear.
Yeah. Great question. Well, in my research, there's like really three ways that I teach people how to build bravery. One is based on cognitive psychology that we've talked a lot about, mindset. The second is on behavioral psychology, like actually taking action when you're scared. And the third is from social psychology, and a lot of it, vulnerability fits there. So yes, vulnerability is important because if you want to do hard things, we want to do a lot of things, internal work, like we want to work on our mindset that we've talked about, the warrior mindset. We want to
Mhm.
make sure that we reframe stress and challenges as good things and know that we're not waiting to be ready. We need to take steps anyway. So that's on the behavioral side. But these are things that we're doing internally to try to do the brave thing. But when we lean on others, it actually makes it easier for us to do brave things. And this is where vulnerability comes in. So on the third thing that you read in the book, because I know you already read the book,
Yes.
um, we talk about like when you're struggling on your path to achieve the goal, in order to get through it, you should be brave enough to be vulnerable to ask people for help. And that's going to accelerate your goal accomplishment by actually asking for help. It's also brave because you sometimes have to go up to people that maybe intimidate you. Like you should go find people that have done the hard thing that you want to do, right? And then be brave enough to go up to them and say, hey, I really admire what you've accomplished. I'm trying to do something similar. Can I ask you some questions and some advice? So it's kind of scary to go up. That's vulnerable there
Oh yeah.
to admit, I don't have all the answers. I don't know what I'm doing. Right. And I think a lot of people, when they try to do something hard, like I can just do it all by myself and I'm going to grow better. And that's a little bravado coming out there. Right. Feel comfortable leaning on other people. When you surround yourself with the brave souls that have accomplished what you've accomplished, that is going to give you that courage to move forward. Like at one point when I was writing this book, I was stuck. I was having a hard time writing. Like so many people have writer's block.
Oh yeah.
You've probably
Oh
had the
yeah.
same thing. So I was just kind of stuck. And so one member of my brave tribe, I call it my brave tribe for writing, was Ken Blanchard, who wrote the foreword in the book. And one conversation with him for me to be vulnerable enough to go to Ken Blanchard, right? And
Ken
the Ken
Blanchard.
Blanchard
Yeah.
and say, I am really struggling. And of course, he's such an amazing human and a servant leader. And he's like, well, what's going on? And I just tell him, like, I dedicate the time, I sit down and it just doesn't come out. And then what Ken did is he said to me, that same thing happened to me.
Hmm.
And this is what helps too, because you realize other people that you look at and go like, oh, well, they've never had any problems. Like everything was just came easy to them. No, Ken's like, the same thing happened to me. I'm like, it happened to you? You have what, 48 best-selling, New York Times best-selling books? He goes, yeah, I struggled with that too. See what that does? Then you realize like, I'm not the only one. If he experienced this and achieved it, I can too. And then he also gave me a practical tip too. He goes, Jill, when you speak about bravery and your passion for it, it just flows out. Try dictation. That's what I did. And that's what he does, right? So the combination of him making me feel like I'm not the only one and advice. So yeah, vulnerability is so important because as humans, we're going to have ups and downs when we're trying to do hard things, when we're facing our fears. So when we're facing our fears, when you have your ups, you're not going to need any help. But when
Yeah.
you're having your downs, be brave enough to be vulnerable and share how you're feeling to get other people to help you. And when other people help you, you're doing them a favor. Because when other people have a chance to help you, they get this boost in their positive emotions. Because when you help others, all the pro-social behavior literature, right, they get this boost because they love helping other people. So whenever people are like, I don't want to bother them, or like, I don't want to admit, like you're robbing yourself of the support you need to do the hard thing. And you're robbing the other people of an opportunity for them to experience a positive emotion for helping you. So
Yeah.
that's my take.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Hmm.
And it reminds me of another dyad or another pair of emotions, and that's kind versus nice. How kind is brave. Nice is cowardly.
It is.
Kind is willing to lean in to those hard conversations.
Yeah.
Whereas nice always leans out.
Yeah.
It pulls back and leans out.
Mm-hmm.
And that idea of, well, all I've got to do is put on a smile and use my manners and be polite and maybe do a favor for them. And then I don't have to face any type of conflict.
No fear. Yeah. I can, pretend like everything's okay.
Yeah. It's just, and that's it. It pretends. It's very fake. It's very counterfeit.
Yeah.
And so understanding that fear can actually be our friend. It actually brings to mind the research by Dr. Paul T.P. Wong.
Ooh, I don't know this one. Tell me more.
Jill,
Oh,
this is
good.
so good. This is so good. He's actually out of Canada. He passed away in 2012. But he coined the phrase positive psychology 2.0. And in his research, he took the wellness scale that you've referenced, and he used that as the baseline for his testing. But then he created what was called the existential gratitude scale. So it goes beyond just gratitude. He measured what people are grateful for. It wasn't just I'm grateful. He said, what are you grateful for? And measured, and he found that the people that were able to say I'm grateful for my pain.
Oh, wow.
Their well-being was in a completely different stratosphere. The people that were able to say, I'm grateful for this trial, I'm grateful for the hard in my life. They truly took a transcendent,
that makes sense.
A transcendent place in the scale of well-being. Wow. And getting to that place where not only do we face our fear, but we actually make our fear our friend. Yeah. And we say, hey, I know you. Yeah. I recognize you. Thanks for coming to give me this message. I'm actually kind of excited because now I get to grow. Yeah. Now I get to cross that ladder. I get to climb that mountain, and it's scary. And thank you for being here to tell me I'm about ready to transcend.
Wow. Yeah. That is absolutely beautiful. Sometimes to help people, convince people of that, an easy exercise is to ask people to go back in their history and say, what is your most proud accomplishment? And everyone can come up with their most proud accomplishment. So I give people a moment to think about it. And then they come up with their most proud accomplishment, and I'll ask them, tell me about the journey of getting there. Were there any challenges? Write down a couple of those challenges, right? And they write those down. And I have them share with a partner. And then I ask them, if you were to do it over again, would you want the pain and the challenges to be there? Did it serve you well? Or do you wish those challenges weren't there? And almost everyone raises their hand like, those challenges, this pain, it served me. It made me who I am. So it's really if we can look back retrospectively and realize that the pain and the challenges were helpful, then hopefully that helps us realize looking forward when we experience it that, yeah, these can be the best things to just, you know, what's the word you, the breakthrough or the what did you say? The
Transcendence.
transcendence to another level.
Yeah.
Without the pain, without the challenges, you're not going to be able to transcend. So it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Mm.
I think about my hardest challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was a CEO of high-tech companies and all of these things, and had a complete shift in my life that was the hardest challenge that I ever
Mm-hmm.
had to face. And I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful. And I wouldn't, even though I wouldn't wish it on anyone,
Right.
I also wouldn't change it, because we wouldn't be having this
Yeah.
conversation right now. My heart would be a very different heart
Yeah.
if I hadn't gone through that pain.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful for that pain, because now we can have this conversation. Now I can share the message of counterfeit emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah. I remember the first conversation we had together at that dinner. You shared the story with me, and you said you were recovering from being nice all the time, right? And
The recovering nice guy.
nice guy.
Yeah.
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 Pretending like everything's okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So,
Mm.
Jill, the only emotion that can't be counterfeited is peace.
Mm.
Where does Jill Schulman where does Jill Schulman find peace?
You know, a couple things come to mind, but I think for me, it has been really figuring out what I want to do to serve the world. And when I get into my zone, so this is for me, like I want to bring the world this message of bravery and let everyone know that they can build the skill. So anytime I'm researching, I'm writing, I'm speaking on it, I feel like, you say peace. I feel like there's a storm of activity around me. There's chaos of all the things that go with writing books and speaking and all of that. But when I am doing my core work of what I feel like I'm meant to do, there is this peace at the center. So I think I have found for me, it's when I'm spending my time and my talents doing what I think best aligns with what I'm meant to do and the biggest impact I have, like I feel such peace. Like I sleep better. Like my schedule's probably busier than it's ever been, but I
I'm
sleep,
amazed at how much you do.
but I now
That's
sleep better. I feel so like I just aligned. I guess I feel like now that I'm
alignment.
aligned, not peace in terms of like going to a beach and like that's kind of vacation. For me, I'm talking about peace overall. It's because I'm aligned and I'm doing the work that I feel so called to do. That has bringing me tremendous peace as I'm really busy, but
Hmm.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that. That's
Yeah.
so beautiful. And you are stepping into that place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about David Hawkins and his work with letting go and surrender,
Yes.
and his emotional frequency scale.
Mm-hmm.
And they recently did a few studies. I believe it's called Snape. And in the studies, they actually challenged some of his assumptions of the frequency of emotions and where we're at. And they actually put people in a Faraday cage, which is an electromagnetic repulsor.
Really?
So you cannot get anything into this cage, and they put people in there so they could get rid of all external in frequencies or any type of electromagnetic field.
Mm-hmm.
And they went through the emotions, and they found that, according to their research, that the top of the scale is different than what David Hawkins said. They said the top of the scale was authenticity,
Oh.
is stepping into your true self, is
Okay.
being who you are. And that's exactly what you described,
Yeah.
is finding that
A lot. Yeah.
it's not peace from the storm, it's peace in the
And
storm.
yeah. Yeah,
That
that is. That's yeah, that's so powerful.
yeah,
Yeah. Wow. I've gotta look I've gotta look that up. I feel like, um, you said surrender, which just really called to me. Like, I feel like now I was always hesitant to do things because I just kind of worried about like, how are other people going to perceive it, or is it the right thing? Now I think that I'm in this state of peace or authenticity. It's amazing how you just kind of surrender to it. Like, I'm just going to do the work and you don't worry about what is this person going to do, or the ratings over here or the likes over here. You just do the work that you know is the right work. And so that leap that I took out of the airplane is, I think, kind of an analogy of kind of this leap I'm taking in this world, right? Of just surrendering and doing everything I can. And I don't really worry about, I don't let the fear hold me back anymore. I'm just
Mm.
jumping in with both feet.
Sounds like your peace is a world without fear, or in the face of fear.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you all for joining us this week, and I invite you to grab a copy of Jill's book. It is fantastic, and to be brave, to take the step that when you feel that fear, welcome it and say thank you, and take the step anyway. Don't do it
Mm.
when you're ready.
Mm.
Do it when you're afraid. Thank you, Jill, so much.
Thanks for having me. This is so much fun.
Okay, until next week.